Huh? There's a stranger here. Where are we stopping? What? What are you talking about? You didn't make a reservation for E? Of course. I'm a stranger. When we arrived at the hotel in Hawaii for a family trip, I was the only one who wasn't booked. So I decided to return home immediately. 2 weeks later, when my mother-in-law returned home, I saw that my house was empty. My name is Ishida E, 32 years old, and my husband Satoshi, who is the same age as me and works as a web designer, and our 2-year-old son Natsuki are 3 people in the family. Sato works as a front desk staff at the hotel. I left Tatsuki at the nursery school and I was allowed to work from home. Natsuki is a lot of work, and Satoshi has to work the night shift, so I'm glad I was able to work from home. Working while doing housework and childcare was more difficult than I expected, but I was grateful that Sato was cooperative and helped me with the housework and childcare. Maybe it was the influence of the front desk staff. He has a serious personality and is a nobleman. He does the housework carefully and takes care of Natsuki carefully. I'm not a very rough person, so I've told Satoshi several times that he doesn't need to be so careful, but Sato is really careful. We cooperated with each other and lived happily with Natsuki. However, our lives changed drastically. One day, while I was working at home, I received an email from Sato. Oh, the contents of the email were that my mother-in-law was hospitalized, so she would be coming home late because she would stop by the hospital on her way home from work. When I asked her why she was hospitalized, she said she had pneumonia and would be hospitalized for 12 weeks. Late that night, Sato started talking about the future. It seems that my father can't do anything alone. Can I invite my father over to our house until my mother is discharged? Yes, it's okay. I have a job, so I can't do anything complicated like cooking. It's okay, just do it as usual. Sorry. Yes. At that time, I never thought that our lives would change if Gifu came to our house. The day after Sato told me, Gifu came to our house. By the way, our house is an hour's drive from our house, and Sato brought Gifu back by car after going to my mother-in-law's hospital. Thank you for your continued support.
I'm sure it will be noisy with Natsuki, but please take your time. In the morning, I drop off Satoshi and take Natsuki to the nursery school. When I get home, I start work and do housework such as laundry and cleaning in between. However, when I work during the day, I'm almost alone during the day on weekdays, so I was a little worried about my father-in-law being there. My father-in-law has already retired, so he's at home all day, but I tried not to worry too much about it because it's only until my mother-in-law retires. However, I can't help but worry. 2 days after my parents-in-law came, I immediately became irritated. The Japanese-style room next to the living room is my workplace. I prepared a room on the second floor that I don't use for my father-in-law. However, since he's in the living room most of the time, the sound of the TV and other sounds of daily life reach my workplace. Dad, can you turn down the TV a little? Yes, is it too loud? I've been having trouble hearing lately, so the volume is about this. Oh, I see. I'd appreciate it if you could just turn it down a little. I'm sorry, yo.
Gifu raised his right hand to answer, but the volume had hardly changed. I didn't want to tell my father-in-law again and again, so I put on headphones. The sound was much softer with headphones, but the sounds of my father-in-law's daily life did not disappear. The sound of my father's footsteps, the sound of him putting dishes on the floor, and the sound of the door opening and closing are all loud, so I can hear what he is doing even while he is working. It is that loud. At first, I put up with this too. I didn't tell my mother and just tried not to worry about it, but it was impossible. I couldn't concentrate on my work, and I also had remote meetings and other meetings, so I wanted a quiet environment as soon as possible. Although my father-in-law is only at home temporarily, there is still more than a week left. So I decided to work on the second floor. He will stay on the second floor when he sleeps, but I have decided to have him stay on the first floor during the day. Why are you going to the second floor? It's a change of pace. Also, if I go to the second floor, my father won't have to worry about the sound of the TV. I couldn't tell him face to face that it was because my father-in-law's daily life sounds were loud. Oh, I see. He doesn't seem to think that he is the cause. Can you work on the second floor? Yes. That's good. Times have changed, when you can work from home. I didn't tell Shah the real reason why I moved my workplace to the second floor. Working on the second floor was comfortable. Still, I could hear the doors opening and closing on the first floor and loud noises, but not much. We all went to visit my mother-in-law on the weekends. Sato seemed to go to see her sometimes after work. Did Natsuki come too? Grandma is happy. How is your mother feeling? Not bad. My mother-in-law replied to me coldly while looking at Natsuki. Is that so? Ibo looked paler than I expected and was sitting on the bed. Then my mother-in-law said to Sato in a low voice. But it's lonely being alone. Even in a shared room now, the curtains are closed off. It's true that my mother-in-law's room is a 4-person room, but each person is separated by a curtain, so my mother-in-law, who loves butts, can't talk to her peers. That's true. It's like a private room. I nodded vigorously and said in a low voice. That's right. When my mother was hospitalized when I was little, we were in a shared room, but I talked to the person next to me. But my mother-in-law didn't reply. My mother-in-law hates me. It's been that way since I decided to marry Yashara. My mother-in-law was already in a bad mood from the first time I met my parents-in-law. As soon as Yoshikazu greeted me at the entrance of the family's house, my mother-in-law only glanced at my face and barely looked me in the eye until I left. My mother-in-law had told Satoshi this story many times. Sato, can't you just get over that girl? Oh, what are you saying in front of Rai? Satoshi was quite anxious. I kept quiet, but I somehow understood from the conversation between my parents-in-law and Sato. There's no one who's that good, is there? Dad. That's right. She was a good girl. Dad, stop it too. How long are you two going to keep saying that? Forget about it already. It's rude to Rai. I guessed that Shito had been dating a woman before he met me. He was close to marrying that woman. I didn't ask him about it when I was at the Oni family home, but later when I was alone with Satoshi, he told me about it. He had told Yoshioshi that he was dating a woman at the same workplace and was thinking about marrying her, so Satoshi himself was surprised when they broke up. Satoshi didn't tell me the reason why he broke up with her, and I didn't dare ask him either. It seems that Kei couldn't forget about that woman in particular, and he didn't smile and congratulate me on my marriage until the end. Maybe because of his face, he came to the wedding, but he hardly made eye contact with me. When we left the hospital and returned home, Shito apologized many times. I'm sorry. You came all the way here. Yes. It's okay. My father-in-law, sitting in the back seat, didn't say anything and was suspicious of Natsuki next to him. A few days after, my mother-in-law was alone. Can I let her stay at home until my mother's strength returns? Yes, it's fine. I somehow felt that way. After my mother left the company, my father and I helped with the housework until she regained her strength. I can understand because I've experienced it. Still, I feel bad about my parents-in-law being at home. It's even worse because I haven't decided how long I'll be there. The nursery is basically closed on weekends, so I take the day off work. However, it's helpful that my parents-in-law look after Natsuki when I have to go to work suddenly. My parents-in-law dote on Natsuki. I'm very grateful for that, but it's also true that I feel a strange feeling. My mother-in-law, like my father-in-law, is in the living room most of the day, so I worked on the second floor during the day on weekdays, but on weekends I spend the day on the first floor because I'm worried about Natsuki. Even though it's a precious day off, I can't rest because my parents-in-law are there. It's hard to be in the same space as my mother-in-law, who hates me. I often spend time in the Japanese-style room next to the living room, but the sounds of my parents-in-law's daily life are loud. When I try to go out with Natsuki, Gifu tells me to come back to make lunch, so I stop going out. My stress is increasing with my mother-in-law joining the family. I do all the housework on days when I work, and my parents-in-law don't do anything. I don't want my mother-in-law, who just retired, to do it, but she doesn't do anything even though she seems capable of folding laundry. The two of them don't even say they'll help, and there's no thank you. My mother-in-law doesn't even say, "Thank you for the meal," and just eats in silence. She doesn't even say, "delicious," or "bad," and she just ignores me. If she doesn't like me, why does she stay at home? Besides, my mother-in-law seems healthy, so it seems like she can do housework at her leisure in the familiar house. On Saturdays and Sundays, which are half busy, Satoshi took either Saturday or Sunday off, so I was able to relax a little on the days he was at home. Because Satoshi helps with housework and childcare by being there. But my mother-in-law doesn't seem to forgive that. Satoshi can't take a break. Rai should do it. My mother-in-law, who doesn't talk to me and Fran, complains like this. Mom has a hard time every day, so it's normal for her to help when I'm there. Sato, have you been doing housework even on your days off? Yes. This is normal for us, so don't say anything. HMPH. I'm just saying this for Sato. With those words, my mother-in-law left the living room. I'm sorry. Don't worry about what my mother says. Yeah. Thank you. Sato is here, so I'll manage it. I thought my mother-in-law would come home soon, so I lived with my parents while putting up with it. It had been about a month since my mother left home, so I asked my mother-in-law. Bath. Isn't she feeling better soon? I was in the kitchen, so I glanced at my mother-in-law, and she looked a little uncomfortable. She's still not feeling well. I hit her in the heart when I heard those words. No matter how you look at it, my mother-in-law is fine. Is that so? She seems fine. How exactly are you not feeling well? Sato listened to me seriously. What should I say? She's heavy and her body is so heavy that she runs out of energy. Really? I'm going to the hospital next week, so I'll talk to the doctor. Yeah. Please. I was really worried about my mother-in-law, but I didn't think she was feeling unwell. But that's something only she can know, so I have no choice but to stay quiet. The next day, my mother-in-law went to the hospital with Satoshi and my father-in-law, and that night Satoshi told her about her mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was already sleeping on the second floor, and my father-in-law was reading the newspaper in the living room. The results were fine. The doctor said that her muscle strength was declining, so he recommended exercise. I didn't tell the city, but I imagined that my mother-in-law was lacking in exercise. First of all, it seems that stretching and light walking are good. She said she was going to walk with my father. Yes. That's why I want to keep watching her at home for a little longer. Is that okay? I understand. I had no choice but to agree because the donation was nearby. That means my parents-in-law are still at home. I'm going to sleep first. Oh, good night. When I opened the door to the living room, Ryan Yuru-san called me. When I turned around, Yuru-san looked me in the eyes and said, "If possible, I would like to live with Sato, Rai, and the others." Living together? When I looked at Sato's face, he was also surprised, so it seems he hadn't been told about it beforehand. Our house in Tokyo has been standing since my grandfather's time, so it's old. I was thinking about moving soon. Oh, you said that before. I hadn't heard that before. We're over 60 now, so our shoulders will start to hurt. Well, it will happen someday. Actually, my mother was hospitalized, so I nodded in agreement. That's right. I can't do anything without my mother. But what will we do if my mother can't move? More and more of my acquaintances want to live with their children. Is Ofu saying that too? She said she wanted to live together. I couldn't believe my ears at the answer. I didn't hear anything at all. I told her when we were waiting to pay at the hospital. You were in the bathroom. Why didn't you tell me when I was there? My mother suddenly said it to me. I wondered if my mother-in-law would say something like that when she hates me. Sato also said it. Ofu says all sorts of things to Tori. Is it okay to live together? Gifu's expression then darkened. Mom is also reflecting on her actions. She said that she should be grateful because she will be living with her and taking care of her from now on. I see. Sato seemed to believe what her mother-in-law said, but I couldn't believe it. To be honest, I thought I had to think about it soon. I was worried about what my father and I would live with when they get older, but I was worried about my mother. Satoshi asked me as I looked down and said nothing. What do you think, Rai? I can't tell you the truth in front of my father-in-law. It would be fine if your mother changed. Are you worried? Yes. That's right. I don't know if your mother is really reflecting on her actions. And I haven't heard it from her. So how about doing this? What? I'd like to decide whether to live together or not after watching your mother's attitude for a month. That might be good. Rai, if it's really no good, you can just be honest. If it's difficult to say, you can tell Satoshi. What do you think? I had no choice but to reluctantly agree to the donation proposal to see how things go for a month. If I complained here, it would be troublesome. The next day, I discussed it again with my mother-in-law. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the help you've given me, my mother-in-law said, looking down. My father-in-law sat next to my mother-in-law with his arms folded. I'll watch your attitude for a month and then decide whether we can live together. Yes, I understand. Please, Ofu. Rai is doing her best. Don't make her feel uncomfortable. I understand. Right. When my mother-in-law replied, Sato looked at me. Rai, how about it? I understand. Even when I heard my mother-in-law's words of remorse directly, I was half God and half righteous. Still, I had no choice but to say that I understood. I was practically living with my conscience all the time, but for now, a deadline of 1 month was set. I thought my mother-in-law's words of remorse were just superficial, but to my surprise, she stopped complaining to me. Although she had been avoiding me until now, my mother-in-law started talking to me more often. Furthermore, my mother-in-law, who had stopped doing any housework, started hanging out the laundry and helping out on her own. The doctor at the hospital told me that it would be better to move around. It seems that she decided to do housework as a form of rehabilitation. I mainly do the cooking, but my mother-in-law sometimes helps. I was a little confused by my mother-in-law's attitude, but she helped me with the housework and childcare, and I was also happy that my mother-in-law had changed. I thought this would be fine, so I told my parents-in-law how I felt within a month. Let's live together. My mother-in-law's eyes were shining. Is it okay? I'm happy. Thank you, Rai. I'm glad for you, Mom. Recently, my mother has been doing a lot of housework, such as setting up the bath equipment, and then I suddenly noticed something. Oh, but are you sure you want to stay at home? Of course. This place is close to the station and convenient. Right. I want to go shopping every day. That's right, but in this house, my mother-in-law stood up even though I was still talking. Shall we have sushi tonight? Nice. I'll treat you. I did. Everyone looked happy, so I didn't say anything. That choice would help us later. The parents-in-law's room remained on the second floor. Natsuki also seems happy to have his grandparents there all the time. Apparently the house of the family was demolished because it was old. Living with my parents-in-law has become much more comfortable because my mother-in-law has become kinder. I never imagined that the day would come when I could laugh and talk like that, but those days didn't last long. Mom, I'm going to the supermarket on the way to pick up Natsuki, so can you bring in the laundry? It was a cloudy day that looked like it was about to rain. I went to my mother-in-law while looking out the window, but there was no response from her. I thought she hadn't heard me, so I turned to her and looked again, but she was engrossed in her book and didn't respond. Mom, I called out to her a little louder than before, and she looked up. Her face was glaring. I can hear you without you having to shout out loud. I'm sorry. I was shocked by my mother-in-law's attitude. I left the house as if I was running away from my mother-in-law and headed to the supermarket. I was restless in the car on the way to the supermarket and while shopping, and I had a bad feeling about my mother-in-law's attitude. When I got home and looked at the second-floor balcony from the car, the laundry was hanging out to dry. When I got out of the car, a raindrop hit me. Then I picked up Natsuki in my arms and carried him down and went into the house. I put him at the entrance, and after seeing Natsuki off until bang, I ran to the second-floor balcony. It was close. The moment I put the laundry inside, it started raining hard. My mother-in-law's attitude was bad even after I came home from the supermarket. She didn't help me with cooking, and she didn't even say thank you for the meal. She had gone back to the time when my mother-in-law came to my house after she left her job. What was different from before was that my mother-in-law would treat me normally in front of Gifu and Sato. So Gifu and Sato didn't know that my mother-in-law's attitude had returned. My mother-in-law becomes cold when we are alone. It was only a week after we started living together that my mother-in-law's attitude returned. I wondered if I should consult Satoshi. Satoshi is on my side and will immediately warn my mother-in-law. But she is normal with me in front of Satoshi and Gifu, so will she believe me? At this point, I thought of something. Maybe it will be useful. I will start doing something so that my father-in-law will believe me when I reach my limit. I decided to continue to endure my mother-in-law's coldness until then, even if I am tired. A few days later, she suddenly asked me if we would like to go on a trip next month. We were having dinner together as a family. What's wrong, all of a sudden? Besides, it's impossible to make a reservation now. Then my father-in-law laughed and said yes. And then, I won a trip to Hawaii in the test. What? Hawaii? Really? My mother-in-law clapped her hands. Wow, Dad is amazing. That's amazing. No, actually, I wanted rice. I never thought we would win a trip to Hawaii. I'm so happy. How many people can go? The tickets we won are for 2 people. But why don't Satoshi and the others come with us? You two should go. Sato looked at me and I nodded vigorously. Yes. Have fun. Why don't we all go together? I'll pay for the 2 of you. Seriously? I want to go, but I have work. How many days is a trip? A week. A week. But we think we can extend it by 1 more week at our own expense. That's really amazing. It's a great opportunity. We might not be able to go when we get older. It's still okay. Let us think about it for a bit. Of course we want to go on that Hawaii trip we were worried about, but we both have jobs. Also, I had my mother-in-law, so should I tell Sato about her change in attitude? I was also wondering about that. We haven't traveled at all in the last few years. That's right. We're busy with work and childcare, and there was a self-restraint mood because of COVID. I thought I wanted to go on a trip once the corona calms down, so this might be a good chance. Can I take time off work? I might find it difficult. That's it. After much deliberation, we decided to go on a trip to Hawaii. 2 weeks is not possible, so we decided to return home in 5 days. The day of the trip was just when Sato's work was not very busy. My work was also about to calm down, so I decided to go for it. Also, since I work from home, I was secretly thinking that if I got urgent work, I would take my laptop on the trip. I also thought that I could deal with my mother-in-law after the Hawaii trip. I can endure a month until the trip. I talked with my parents-in-law about it being okay because Sato will be there during the trip, and we paid for the plane ticket and my father-in-law paid for the hotel. My parents-in-law also booked the hotel and plane tickets. Thank you for everything. It's fine. I owe them both so much, but my mother-in-law's attitude towards me is still terrible. She doesn't help with the housework, and recently she hasn't even been looking after Natsuki. Even if Natsuki was crying when I was away, my mother would not tell me and would leave him alone. When I heard Natsuki's unusual cry and hurried down to the first floor, I was quite shocked to see my mother-in-law staring blankly at the TV. At that time, my father-in-law was out at work. I asked my mother why she didn't call me, but my mother-in-law ignored me. After this incident, I decided not to leave Natsuki alone with my mother-in-law. I continued to be more careful of Natsuki than usual, and put up with my mother-in-law's attitude. The next month, we finally went to Hawaii, and on the day of the trip, we were seated apart from my parents-in-law. It had been a long time since we last went on a trip, so I think both Satoshi and I were excited. Is this your first time traveling abroad? Is that so? I went to Hawaii with a friend when I was in college. I've
Been to Hawaii before. So tell me about it.
Wow, it's changed a lot since then. I'm glad I was able to relax on the plane. I was saved because Natsuki slept most of the time without diving in. We arrived in Hawaii, and after dropping off our luggage at the hotel, we decided to go sightseeing. This is this hotel. The hotel Gifu pointed it was a very luxurious hotel. My parents had won tickets in a verification test, so they had a separate reception from us. The day we were going to travel was not a busy one, so there were few customers and it looked like we could spend the day quietly. As soon as my parents-in-law headed to the reception, we were called from the reception next door. I held Natsuki and Sato said my name, and the receptionist turned to her computer. I suddenly looked at her nameplate and saw that it was a Japanese staff member with a common Japanese surname in Roman letters, which made me feel a little relieved. Then the receptionist frowned. She looked back and forth between me and Sato. Excuse me, but Mr. Ishida, a 2-year-old child does not count in the number of people, so is it correct that you are using one adult? Both Mr. Sato and I were confused. One person? What do you mean? Even without the child, it is 2 adults. The receptionist answered as she turned to the computer screen again. This is a reservation for 2 people, Ishida-san and Natsuki-san. So Sato asked Gifu, who was beside her. What's going on? Why is it just me and Natsuki? It was my parents-in-law who booked the hotel.
Oh, I don't know.
Gifu was clearly acting suspiciously. My dad made the reservation, right? No, my mom booked the hotel. I just booked the flight. Mom. When my parents-in-law came to visit, my mom leaned her torso forward so that we could see her face. She twisted her mouth and looked into my eyes. What? There's someone else here. Where is it going to stop? What? Oh, what are you talking about? You didn't book Rye's seat? Of course. She's a stranger. I was the only one who hadn't booked a hotel. Sato and my father-in-law were at a loss for words. After a few seconds of silence, the woman at the reception desk said, "We could add one more person." We turned to the reception desk when she said that. Yes, one more adult. I stretched my left arm between Satoshi and the receptionist. A little surprised, Sato continued. No, we don't need to add more. Really? Yes. Rye, what are you going to do? If it's now, I'll hang up the additional charge. Where are you staying tonight? I said with a smile. Satoshi, I'm sorry. I'm going home with Natsuki first. Huh? What are you saying? You just got here. I think my expression was a little sulky. I'm sorry. I have some urgent work to do. You enjoy your trip and I'll be sure to contact you later. Rye? Holding Natsuki in my arms, I grabbed my suitcase and jogged out of the hotel. I wanted to get away as soon as possible from that situation where I was the only one without a reservation. Natsuki and I left the hotel and hurried back home. I cried alone on the plane on the way back. In the end, my mother-in-law had no remorse at all. I thought I had finally become close with her. It was all an act. My mother-in-law purposely didn't make a reservation for me by taking responsibility for the hotel reservation herself. I couldn't bear it anymore. I exchanged emails and phone calls with Satoshi several times until I returned to Japan. Satoshi apologized many times. And we decided to do something. Satoshi came back the day after I returned to Japan. Satoshi is early. When Satoshi came into the living room, he must have hugged me. Rye, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about your mother. I'm the one who's sorry. It's not something you should apologize for coming back. If I were in my position, I would have done the same. Thank you. But why did you come back so early? I can't enjoy a relaxing trip if Rye has gone through this. The dads are still in Hawaii, right? Yes. I think they'll be there until the last day. Was Natsuki okay? Yes. He was also a good kid on the return flight. That's good. When we were in contact, he said he would return early. But he didn't say he would return the day after I did. I will not forgive my father and Ofu. Ofu said she would change her ways, but I can't help but think that she had no regrets. Yes. Rye, let's do that quickly. Right now. Are you?
Sure? And it will even involve your father. I don't care. My father knew about this. Hurting Rye would be betraying me too. That's why I push them
away. Sato's face was serious. We still have the fare we got on our trip to Hawaii, so we will take action immediately. And 2 weeks later, after we finished dinner, Sato's smartphone announced a call. Oh, she's here. It seems she's back. Mom, yes. Sato laughed and pressed the answer button on his smartphone. Hello. The moment he answered the phone, he moved the smartphone a little away from his ear. It's probably his mother-in-law who is shouting. It's noisy. Please speak quieter. Saying that, Satoshi switched his smartphone to speaker mode. Sato, you're in trouble. We don't have a house. Where are you and the others now? I won't tell you where we are. What are you thinking? Why is our house not here? We are now where Satoshi's house used to be, but it's Sarachi. Oh. Oh, aren't you surprised? You know something. It seems like your father, Satoshi, knows something. My mother-in-law was talking to Gifu, who was nearby. But she looked at me, so I nodded. Our house was demolished. Why? What's going on? It seems that my mother-in-law also put it on speaker, so I could
hear my parents-in-law's voices, because it's old now. It certainly felt a little old, but Satoshi liked that kind of house, so he bought it when he got married, didn't he?
Sato, what's going on?
As expected, my parents didn't know anything. That house is my parents' house. Rai-san, is it Rai-san's parents' house?
I lost my parents when I was young. My father died of illness when I was 3 years old, and my mother died of cancer when I was 10. I didn't have any siblings, so I was left alone, and my grandparents raised me. We cancelled the lease on the apartment where my parents and I lived and decided to live at my grandparents' house. That house is the house where Satoshi and the others lived. I don't know how much Sato told his parents about the house, but when they were just married, he told them he bought it from an acquaintance. He may have been embarrassed at the time that it was my parents' house and he hadn't paid rent in the morning. I guess he wanted to show off a little. But Satoshi said it shyly when they were discussing this strategy. I think now that he should have said it was my parents' house, but in this case, maybe it was the right decision not to tell my father. It would surprise them both. When I explained that much, my father-in-law said, "Why did you suddenly demolish it?" It was
old, so we had plans to demolish it. We just brought it up a little. Why didn't you tell me something so important? I wanted to tell you when we talked about living together with your mothers, but we missed the timing and you knew about it back then?
Well, I was a little hesitant, though. I can't believe it. My mother-in-law was overjoyed when we decided to live together and was excited about eating sushi. I really wanted to tell her about the house at that time. That's why there would have been a chance to talk about it after that. Sato probably knew too. Why didn't you tell me? I was still unsure about it. But it just suddenly occurred to me. My stepfather was dumbfounded. But we were gradually getting rid of our furniture and such. There's no need to demolish it while we were on vacation. Because that was our plan. What kind of plan? I wanted to live away from my parents as soon as possible. My mother-in-law was at a loss for words. Can you do something like that on a sudden whim? It was all thanks to a friend. I was surprised when Sato told me that we were going to demolish my parents' house while they were on vacation. Although we had planned to demolish the house soon, we were still unsure, and I didn't think we would have to do it so suddenly. But Sato decided to abandon her parents-in-law after this trip to Hawaii. Sato, who thought that we couldn't continue living together like this, made the decision. A friend from the city was moving and helped us with this move. That friend also called several friends, so we were able to move quickly. I was always doing whatever I wanted. To my mother's, it was someone else's house. I was free to do whatever I wanted. My mother-in-law was silent for a few seconds, but then she spoke again. What happened to our belongings? Did you get rid of them all? I've packed them up in the apartment so you can rest assured, and I'll send you the address of the apartment when I hang up the phone. Do whatever you want with the rest. All my friends also took my parents' belongings. It seems that Rito had only signed a contract for 1 month for that part-time job. Then my father-in-law quietly asked, "Aren't you going to live with us anymore?" I won't live with you. I was betrayed by my father and mother. What do you mean, betrayed? I'm talking about Rito. You don't regret it at all. I took something out of my skirt pocket and put it on the table. Mom was being nice to me so that she would allow us to live together. So when we decided to live together, she changed her attitude back to how it was before. What are you saying? That's not true. Mom was kind to me in front of Satoshi and Dad. But when I was alone with her, she became cold and overbearing. Recently, he has been cold towards Natsuki too, and when I said that, Satoshi, who was next to me, looked at me in surprise. Is that so? Yes. I haven't told Satoshi about this yet. Even in such a state, you have been patient all this time. Do you believe me, Sashi? It's all Rai's nonsense. So I picked up what was on the table and switched my smartphone to a video call. Could you also make a video call? What? Video? Dad, do you understand? I heard the sound of someone operating the smartphone, and my father's face appeared on the screen. Thank you. Please take a look at this. I showed the camera what I was holding in my hand. It's not nonsense. I have evidence. Evidence? Hey, what's that? It's a voice recorder. I pressed the play button on the voice recorder and brought it close to the microphone part of the smartphone. Can you hear me? Since it's over the phone, I turned up the volume of the voice recorder. I'm tired from doing housework for the first time in a while. Rai, please take care of the rest. My role is done. I heard my mother-in-law's voice. It was when Sashi and my father-in-law were not around. What is your role? Your role is to get along with you. Because if you don't, you won't live with us. Mom. Dad and I are both old, so it's easier to be with young people. So why don't you try to get along with us when we're alone? There's no way I can get along with you. I wonder why Satoshi really married a woman like this. His previous daughter was much prettier. Here, I stopped the voice recorder for a moment. Mom. So that's what it was. Why did you take it? I left the evidence because his attitude was different from when he was with Sato and the others. Oh, there's more. Saying that, I pressed the play button on the voice recorder. Will you make dinner quickly? You don't have to be told to get moving. You should be grateful that I'm eating the bad food you make. Both Dad and I approved of your marriage because Satoshi insisted. I compromised even though I actually wanted the previous daughter. Here, I stopped the voice recorder again. There were other complaints about me from my mother-in-law on the voice recorder. Satoshi listened beside me, clenching his fist. Please don't have anything to do with us anymore. I'll cut off all ties with you as soon as this phone call is over. Wait a minute. Why go that far? It's not about why. Don't you understand? Do you think there's a husband who wouldn't get angry when such rude things are said to his wife? No, I'm sure my mother just went to Rai, but I felt that she rejected me too. Rai and Natsuki are the most important to me. If my mother doesn't understand, that's fine. But please don't show up in front of Rai again. Sato. I want her to at least be grateful that she didn't dispose of her belongings. See you. Sato pressed the end button before hearing her parents-in-law's reply. Sato, are you sure? Ah, it's fine. I was happy to see Sato looking down, but I was a little worried. Did he sense my feelings? Sato said gently. It's okay. I have an older brother at home, and although I said I was going to cut off all ties with you as a parent, I won't delete my father's cell phone number just in case. Rai doesn't need to be involved with my parents anymore. Yeah. I get it. Okay. I'm finally relieved. Yeah. Thank you so much. I don't know if my parents will live in the apartment where their belongings were delivered or if they will move. My parents-in-law, who are not working, will probably have trouble making ends meet. My dad quit his job, but I think they'll work because they're both in the same job. I don't intend to support them though. Apparently, after finishing the phone call with me, my parents-in-law called Satoshi's smartphone several times. I'll ignore them for now, but I'll answer them after a while. After that, I heard about my parents-in-law's current situation from Satoshi. It seems that he refused to contact his mother-in-law, but he is receiving calls from Gifu. My dad is apparently looking for a final job. Your dad just quit his job, right? Yeah. He was supposed to retire early and take it easy. Right. That's going to be tough. Sato then chuckled. What's wrong? Apparently he's currently living in the apartment where they brought his father's belongings, but apparently the noise from the ginseng is terrible.
Oh, how poor him.
Plus, that apartment was old and the walls looked thin. I haven't seen the apartment in person, but I know they chose a cheap one because it's temporary. He wants to go soon, but he hasn't found one yet. By the way, after demolishing our house, we moved to an apartment temporarily. Why don't we go to a real estate agency next Saturday? I asked Sato a few days after the phone call with my parents-in-law. That sounds good. I've been looking at a lot of things on the internet, but I also wanted to consult with a real estate agency in person. We decided to build a new house. When we got married, we were wondering whether to build a new house, but my parents' house was vacant, so we decided to live there. It was a little old, but it was spacious and close to our workplace in Seto City, so we decided to live in my parents' house. I never thought we'd decide to demolish our parents' house in such a way, but I'm glad I did it. This time, we decided to make it the house we want to live in. We haven't decided on the land yet, so it will probably be completed next year or later. We are now looking forward to living in our new house as a family of 3.